Cheve Kongde knew how to do three things well: fight, build, stay silent when necessary. 32 years old. Former military engineer with 5 years of contract service in hotspots, then demobilization, then private orders across Asia. Not a killer, a builder. He erected fortifications, restored bridges, turned ruins into something suitable for life. Last contract, a small archipelago in the Pacific Ocean. Consultation on coastal infrastructure. Simple work, good money. He flew on a small charter. The pilot was a middle-aged Australian, talkative. The sky was clear, the weather was good. Then not good, then very not good. A storm came out of nowhere. Black clouds in 5 minutes. Lightning, the air like a concrete wall, the plane tossed like paper. The pilot shouted into the radio. Kang Dae did not hear the words, only the voice. He remembered fastening his seatbelt tighter. He remembered the impact. Then water. Cold, dark, salty. Then nothing. He woke up on the shore, hot sand under his cheek. The sun high, meaning time had passed. He lay there, alive. That was already good. Slowly sat up, examined himself. A military habit, quickly and in order. Ribs hurt but breathing normally so they are intact. Head cut above the ear, blood dried. Right shoulder bruised. Left arm and legs in order. Looked around. Plane wreckage, part of the fuselage by the water. Seat on the shore. The pilot was nowhere. An island. Jungle begins about 20 meters from the shore. Rocks on 2 sides, size unclear. Got up, stood until dizziness passed. Went to the wreckage, found the emergency container, mangled. Inside, knife, first aid kit, rope, food for 2 days. Found the pilot's heavy jacket, did not find the pilot. His name was David. He talked about his grandson. Stood by the water for a minute. Regret later. First survive. Strangeness began towards evening. First, silence. A tropical island should be screaming. Birds, insects, everything alive. Here it was unnaturally quiet, as if the island was holding its breath. Second, light. In the depths of the island, a faint glow, greenish, pulsating. Not fire, not coastal-type bioluminescence. Something else, deeper. Third, body. When he entered the jungle for firewood, something changed. Hard to describe exactly. As if the air here was denser, breathed deeper. And in the muscles a feeling of being charged. Like before a good fight, only constant. Took a thick branch the thickness of an arm, broke it. Easily, too easily. Stood. Looked at his hands, the same hands, but different. Came out of the jungle, made a fire. Lay down. At night he dreamed of green light. Pulse. Like the heart of the island itself. Woke up before dawn, and immediately realized he was not alone. There were 7 of them. They stood around silently. He did not hear them approach. Wooden spears with tips of black obsidian, sharp and well-crafted. All pointed at him. All women. Young, from 20 to 30. Dark skin, strong bodies of huntresses. Hair in complex knots, braided with bone pins. Clothing, hides and woven fabric, both made skillfully. Faces and shoulders covered in tattoos. Complex patterns of waves and claws. They watched. Ready. Without fear. One slightly ahead. Tall, movements precise. With her left hand assigned to the others. Stand. Leader. Said something to him. Language sharp, with clicks and long vowels. Completely unfamiliar. Kang Dae slowly raised his hands. Palms forward. The leader narrowed her eyes. Repeated something else. By intonation, a question. I don't understand, said Kang Dae in Korean. Then in English. I don't understand. Zero reaction to the words. But they heard the tone. The leader came closer, carefully examined his clothes, face, hands, then glanced at the plane wreckage behind his back. Pointed at the wreckage. Asked. Plane? Crashed, said Kang Dae. Wreck. Words unclear, but they caught the explanation. Heard the tone. Command to her own. 2 women came from behind. Rope quickly, skillfully, hands behind back. Professionally. They know what they're doing. Captivity. Accepted. Led into the jungle. Walked for an hour. Trail invisible to a stranger's eye. Kang Dae noted. Habit. Branches not broken, but bent aside and tied. Noticed 3 pit traps. Well camouflaged. People know what they're doing. The village appeared suddenly behind thick bushes. Large palisade of sharpened logs 3 meters high. Inside, buildings. Not huts, real houses of wood and clay, with roofs of wide leaves. Permanent place, inhabited. Entered and the village stopped. Everyone looked at him. Kangdai looked back and counted. About 80 people, of them women everywhere. Huntresses, potters, women with children. Men exist. 3 old men by a large fire. 2 boys about 10 to 12 years old. 1 teenager with a bandaged arm. Total 6 men, out of 80. Where are the rest? Brought to a cage. Wooden, thick bars of hardwood dug deep. Bolt outside, complex, wooden. Clearly not the first time used. Pushed in. Bolt slid shut. Threw food. Boiled meat, unfamiliar fruit. Left. Kangdae sat down, looked around. Bars solid. Bolt outside. A normal person cannot escape. Keyword, normal. Took the fruit, smelled it. Bit carefully. Sweet. Not poisonous, smell clean. Ate the meat too. Hunger. Okay. We live, we observe, we think. Lay down. Looked at the stars through the bars. Grabbed 1 bar just to try. Squeezed. Feel that I can. Released. Not now. First understand what kind of people. Day 1. Hierarchy. The leader of the group that caught him is called Nari. Young, maybe 25. Moves like a person who makes decisions and knows it. Elderly woman who treats the sick. Vori. Healer. Often by the fire with herbs and bone instruments. Looks at him differently from the others. Not with fear, with interest. The oldest. White hair, straight back, rarely leaves the large central house. When she comes out, the village slows down. Abeke, elder. The 3 old men by the fire talk a lot. The village listens sometimes. But respect for them is not the same as for Abeke. It is visible. Day 2. Language. Started the system. When people passed by, he named objects. Loudly, clearly. Bar, earth, sky, water, food. Most accelerated their step. Vari stopped, listened, then answered with her own words. First contact came every time with food. Stood, waited, he named, she answered. By evening of the 2nd day, 20 words, mutual. Day 3, boy. One of the 2, boulder. Hung around since morning. Sat in front of the cage. Looked. Kangdae pointed at himself. Kangdae, the boy repeated funnily with effort. Kangdae, and laughed, pointed at himself. Tagaro. Tagaro, repeated Kangdae. The boy jumped up and ran away. First laughter near him in 3 days. Good start. Evening of the 3rd day. Village in motion. Sounds beyond the palisade distant. Growing, not a beast. Rhythmic, drums, then cries. Coordinated, many voices. Nari commanded clearly without panic. Huntresses to the walls, the rest, children to shelter. Then 4 huntresses entered with a stretcher. On the stretcher, a woman. Wounded. Blood on the side a lot continues to flow. Unconscious. Behind them another supporting one who walked with difficulty. Vari was already running, worked quickly, but Kangdae saw, wound from a claw, 3 stripes, deep. Arterial bleeding, partial. Pressure wrong. Angle wrong. In an hour she will die. Vauri, he shouted. The healer raised her gaze. Kangdae pointed at the wounded. At his own hands. Simple gesture, I know how, let me. Vari looked at him, at the wound, back at him, stood up, approached the cage, opened the bolt. Nari shouted, sharply. Prohibition clear without translation. Vari answered her in a firm tone, not asking, stating. Healer has the right, clear without language. Kangdae came out, huntresses raised spears, escort, doesn't matter. Approached, squatted by the wounded. Quickly. Wound from a large beast, 3 claw stripes. Bleeding arterial, but not the main vessel. Chance exists. Need precise pressure in the right place and tight bandaging? Showed Vori cloth. She gave it. Worked. Hands remembered. Not the first field wound. Pressure, correct angle, bandaging. Blood slowed, stopped. The wounded breathed. Weakly but evenly. Kangdae straightened up. Vari looked at his hands, at the stopped blood. Quietly said something to herself. Then looked at Nari, said something to her, firmly. Nari was silent for a long time. Then signed to the huntresses, lower spears. Returned to the cage. But something changed. Vari came more often. Tagaro sat by the cage almost all morning. Several women who previously accelerated their step now looked openly. The wounded survived. Kangdae saw in the morning how she was led out to the fire. Weak, but alive. Good. By noon, another noise outside. Rhythmic. Drums again, different pattern, more aggressive. Village battle alert. Huntresses on the palisade. Nari commands. Nori, the second boy, younger, hid behind the house and watched fearfully. Then the palisade shook in one place. They are chopping from outside. Kangdae stood by the bars. In 5 minutes, the section will fall. Looked at the cage. No time to think. Grabbed 2 adjacent bars, squeezed, pulled, felt the resistance of the wood. Hard, stubborn, strained fully until darkness in the eyes. The bar cracked, then came out of the ground, with a crunch with clods, that's how. The second the same. Passage there. Came out. Huntresses nearby turned, froze, eyes wide. Kangdae did not look at them, looked at the shaking section of the palisade. Approached, stood on the inner side, pressed his hands against the logs. From the other side, blows, heavy, frequent, not one person, several, coordinated. Kangdae held, pressure enormous, legs pressed into the ground. But held, out of the corner of his eye. Nari. She looked at him. First time not as at a prisoner. Prop it up, he shouted. Gesture here, logs, quickly. Nari understood, shouted to her own. In a minute, 3 huntresses nearby propped the section with additional logs from the inner side. Blows continued, then slowed, then fell silent. Drums left, gradually into the forest, retreated. Village silence, then voices, then general exhale. Kangdae lowered his hands, turned. Everyone looked at him. Cage bars on the ground, torn out by the roots. Nari in front of everyone, spear in hand but down. Silence lasted long. Then Nari stepped towards him, stopped 2 steps away. Looked up. He is a head taller than her. Said something slowly, 1 word at a time. Not hostile. Question. Kangdae waited. Nari repeated. Added a gesture, pointed at his hands, at the bars on the ground, at the section of the palisade. How? Asking how. I don't understand myself, said Kangdae in Korean. Nari did not understand the words, but understood the intonation. Surprise. He himself is surprised. Tagaro popped out from behind someone's back, ran up, shouted something, explained to the others, pointed at Kangdae at the bars at the palisade, again at Kangdae, excitedly, admiringly. From the large central house came Abeke, slowly, leaning on a staff of dark wood. The village parted, approached Kangdae, stopped. Looked for a long time not from below upwards despite the height, as an equal. Then did something unexpected. Extended her hand. Open palm up. The elder extends her hand, meaning clear without translation. Kangdae placed his palm on hers. Abeke nodded. Once, slowly. Said something quietly, but so that the whole village heard. The village answered, in chorus, 1 word. Acceptance. Vauri became the translator as much as she could. Sat by the fire. Kangdae, Vauri, Nari, Abeke. Tagaro nearby, officially no one called him, but no one drove him away. Through gestures, through 20 common words, through drawings on the ground, conversation. Vauri pointed at him, questioningly. Who are you? Kangdae said. Builder. Soldier before. Gesture was there, then here. Pointed at the sky, at the wreckage on the shore. Plane fell. Nari drew the island on the ground. Pointed questioningly. Did you know about this island? No. Nari looked, thinking something. Abeke asked something of Vauri, she answered. Long exchange. Then Vauri looked at Kangdae and slowly pronounced now in a mixture of words, something like, Where does the strength come from? Good question. Island, said Kangdae. Pointed at the jungle, at the ground underfoot. Something here. Abeke heard. Face changed, not surprise. Recognition. The elder said something. Quietly. 1 word. Vauri translated with gestures as much as she could. Sacred place, in the depths of the island. There is light. They know about the glow, and know what it does. Language came hard, but Kangdae learned quickly. Military necessity accelerates linguistics well. By the end of the first week, basic communication. By the end of the second, he could ask and understand the answer. And then he asked the main thing. Evening by the fire. Vauri nearby, she became his main language teacher. Men said, Where are the men of the tribe? Vauri was silent, then told. 3 years ago another tribe came, from the north of the island. Dakuvanga tribe. Vauri pronounced this name differently, quieter as one speaks of danger. Dakuvanga warriors. Strong, numerous, attacked suddenly. The men of the Abare tribe fought. Part died, part taken away. What remained is what remained. Kangdae listened. Why didn't you leave the island? Nowhere to go, said Vari simply. This is our island. And there is one more thing. What? Vauri pointed towards the jungle there, where at night it glows green. Ratu Vai said, Heart of the island. We are its keepers. If we leave it, we'll die. What is Ratu Vai? We don't know exactly, said Vauri. Abeke knows more, but it is alive. And it chooses whom? Vauri looked at him. Sometimes strangers come to the island. Long ago, once in many years, Ratu Vai gives them strength, or does not give, it gave to you. Kangdae sat. Green glow, changed body, bars torn from the ground. The island chose him. Why? With Nari it is harder than with Vari. Vari open, curious. Nari closed, evaluating. Looked at him constantly, not hostile, as if checking. On the 10th day she approached herself, first time. Threw a spare spear at his feet. Wooden with obsidian tip. Said one word. Vari will translate later. Show. Can you fight, or do you only break bars? Kangdae picked up the spear. Weighed it in his hand. Balance not bad. A bit heavy for throwing, good for close combat. Nari stood opposite, her spear in hand. Position correct, knows what she is doing. Attacked quickly without warning. Good. Honest. Kangdae moved aside. Not with force, with movement. Military training plus something new. The body reacted before he thought. Nari, series of strikes, fast, experienced. He held, deflected. Did not attack and watched. She is good. Very good for her weapon and style. Then stopped one of her movements, carefully. Fixed the spear without releasing. She ended up in a position where she cannot strike. Held for a second. Released. Stepped back. Nari looked at him. Then something changed in her face. Not a smile. Something subtler. Respect. On the 20th day, something happened that changed everything. Morning. Several women went for water to the stream half a kilometer from the village. Kangdae worked by the palisade, examined weak spots. A sharp, frightened cry from the direction of the stream. Nari was already running. Kangdae followed. Saw in a minute. Big. Very big. Something like a bear but larger, fur dark red, head wider than any bear he had seen. Unfamiliar species. Island. Its own evolution. 3 women on a tree. 1 on the ground. Fell or didn't make it. Lies motionless. Beast above her. Nari threw a spear, accurately, strongly. Slid over the thick hide. Beast turned, growled. Huntresses ran up with spears, with cries. Distracted. Beast does not leave. Prey nearby. Kangdae stepped forward. Stopped 3 meters from the beast. It looked at him. Dark, small eyes. Assessing. There is strength. But what to do with it against such? Let's try. Stepped forward. Beast roared, rose on hind legs. Tall. At least 2.5 meters. Swung a paw. Kangdae ducked under the blow. Stepped close. Struck. Fist to the base of the skull, from the side. Where most animals have a vulnerable nerve node. The blow came out different. Not just a fist strike. Something from the body went into it. That very force of the island. Concentrated all at once. Sound dull, heavy. Beast fell, not dead. Stunned, but lay. Kangdae stood over it. Breathed. Silence. Then Nari looked at the beast, at him. Said one word, then another. Vauri will translate in the evening. Ratuvai was not mistaken, after the bear fully accepted. Not words, deeds. The Abare village saw with their own eyes. Abeke called in the evening of the same day. They sat together in the large house, fire burned. The elder spoke slowly, knowing he did not understand everything. Vari translated. 3 years ago, Dakuvanga took the men. The tribe holds only because the Abare women are good huntresses and warriors. But it cannot go on like this for long. Dakuvanga come every few months. Rob. Scare. Wait until we break. Ratuvai never gave strength to a stranger. You are the first in the tribe's memory. Question. For what? Kang Dae listened, then examined the village with a fresh eye. Of a military engineer? Palisade high but weak in 2 places. Only 1 gate, that is a mistake. View from the palisade poor, trees outside too close, can approach hidden to 10 meters. No water reserves inside, go to the stream. Critical in a siege. Living houses chaotic, no inner perimeter. Traps outside exist, good ones, but can be better. Took a stick, began to draw on the ground. Abeke and Vari watched. Kang Dae showed and explained as much as he could. Second gate for retreat. Well inside the palisade. Remove trees outside to 20 meters. Watchtower, corner, height, view, and traps. Many traps, smart ones. Abeke listened, then asked through Vori, "How much time?" "A month," said Kang Dae. "If we all work." "Why do you need this?" Kang Dae thought, "Why? Good question." "Because I know how," said, "and because it is right." Abeke looked for a long time, then nodded. The next day they began. Kang Dae worked and taught at the same time. First week, trees. Outside from the palisade, clearing. Remove everything closer than 20 meters. Open space. Enemy will not approach unnoticed. Everyone worked. Kang Dae felled large trees himself quickly. Abare women watched this the first 2 times, then stopped watching. Got used to it. Nari supervised the works when he explained what was needed. Translated commands, distributed people. Turned out to be a good organizer, and without explanations understood the logic. Born military commander. Interesting what would have happened to her if she had been born in another place. Tagaro followed Kang Dae like a tail. Asked many questions quickly. Kang Dae answered, in a mixture of languages, gestures, drawings. The second boy Nori kept aside. Observed, did not ask questions. Another type of mind, collects information, does not rush. Also valuable. Second week, chose the place carefully. Knowledge of geology plus intuition, which the island, it seems, also enhanced. Found it. Dug in turns deep. On the 4th day, water. The village gathered to watch as the first bucket is raised on the rope. One of the elderly women tried the water, nodded, clean, quiet joy. Abre do not know how to shout with joy, they smile differently. Internally. Vari approached Kang Dae. "Water inside," said. "Now we cannot go out for a long time." "Exactly. Smart." "Necessity," he corrected. Third week, tower and traps. Watchtower in the corner of the palisade. Tall, stable. From it the entire perimeter is visible. Nari climbed first, looked from the height, said something. Vari will translate later. Before we did not see so far. Traps outside in 3 rings. Kang Dae explained the principle. Nari and the best huntresses made them themselves. Made well. With local materials, with understanding of the relief which he did not have. He, knowledge and system. They, execution and knowledge of the terrain. Good combination. 4th week, second gate and inner perimeter. Second exit from the opposite side. Narrow, camouflaged. For retreat or for sortie. Inner perimeter. Small palisade around the central houses. If the enemy breaks through, there is another line. Deep defense, basic principle. At the end of the 3rd week, Kang Dae sat by his fire. Late, the village slept. Nari approached, quietly, with her silent hunter's gait. Silently sat next to him, looked at the fire. Then Nari. "Dakuvanga will return," said. Language came to him better with each day, understood without Vari. "I know. When it is ready, will they come?" "Most likely. Will you stay?" "Directly, without decorations." Interesting question. He had not thought about it formally. "Yes," said. "Why?" The fire crackled. Night sounds of the island that had become almost familiar. "Here my work is not finished," said Kang Dae. "Only work?" Looked at her. Nari looked at the fire. Face calm, but the question is not calm. "No," said honestly, "not only." Nari did not answer, but something in her shoulders changed. Small, unnoticeable. He noticed. They sat in silence for a long time still, then she stood up. Left. The first conversation without necessity. Just a conversation. A good sign. On the 38th day they came. Dawn. The watchwoman from the tower shouted, "Alarm." Kang Dae was on his feet in a second. 40, maybe 50 people. From the north. Armed with spears, clubs with stone inserts, several with bows. Dakuvanga were large, confident. They walked without haste. They knew the village feared them. They did not yet know that the village had changed. Nari was nearby. She looked at him. According to plan, said Kangdae. She nodded. Went to her people. According to plan meant wait until they entered the trap zone. Do not shoot earlier. The first row of traps to delay, the second row to break the formation. Watch signal. Do not open the gates. Dakuvanga were used to being feared. This would be their mistake. The first row of traps worked after 5 minutes. Cries outside. 2 fell into pits. The formation broke. Several retreated. Good, but they did not leave. The Dakuvanga leader, tall with a red stripe across his face, stopped those who retreated. Shouted something. Anger. They had not expected this. They went more carefully. Bypassing. The second row of traps worked. Another 3. The leader was already in real rage. Shouted something and they went towards the gates. Straight. They think they will break the gates. Kangdae was already there. He stood behind the gates from the inner side. Braced himself. A heavy, coordinated blow. Several people with a run-up. The gates held. Nari with the best huntresses on the palisade. They began throwing spears from above, not to kill, to drive them away from the gates. Several Dakuvanga retreated. The leader remained. Looked at the gates, then raised his gaze to the palisade. Thinking, assessing, smart. Ordered something. A group went to the side wall, to climb, foreseen. The side wall had sharpened logs tilted outward at the top. Climbing was difficult. Several tried. They slipped. It works. For 20 minutes, the Dakuvanga walked around. Tried. Every time a trap or wall or spear from above. Then the leader stopped. Looked at the palisade, at the tower, at the fortifications. Something changed. This was not the village they had robbed. Long. The leader shouted to his people. They withdrew, not running, with dignity. But they withdrew. The village was silent. Then Tagaro shouted something from the tower. Joyfully, loudly. Others joined him. Abare losses. 2 light wounds. No one killed. Dakuvanga losses. 5 in the traps, several left with wounds from spears. Victory without a real battle. The best kind of victory. Abeka came out of the central house. Slowly walked to Kangdae. Stopped. Said something. Long for her, Vari translated. For 3 years we feared their coming. Today they feared our palisade. You did this. Ratuvai was not mistaken. Kangdae was silent for a moment. They will return, he said. Their leader is smart. He will come up with something else. We know, said Abeke through Vauri. But now we have time. Little. Enough to prepare further. Will you? I will. Abeka nodded. The same movement as on the first day. One slow yes. Every gesture of hers was worth its weight in gold. In the evening, Tagaro came. Sat down. Was silent at first, unusual for him. Then, Kangdae. Yes, Ratuvai gave you strength. Why you? Kangdae looked at the boy. 10 years old, growing up without a father, in a village where there are almost no men. Looks at him as something he wants to become. Careful with that. I don't know exactly, he said honestly. Abeke says the island chooses those who are needed? Maybe. So you were needed by us? Maybe you were needed by me, said Kangdae. Did you think about that? Tagaro thought. How so? You explained the language to me first. You were the first to speak. Without you, it might not have worked. Tagaro looked at him. Really? Really? The boy was silent for a moment. Then, will you teach me to build? Like you? Yes, and to fight. In time. And I also want to know about the well, how you found the place. Kangdae looked at the boy. Tagaro, 10 years old, 100 questions. Something familiar in this. Sit closer, he said. I'll tell you. Morning. Kangdae on the watchtower. Habit of looking at the island from height. The Abare village below. New palisade on the northern side. Nari designed it herself after consulting him once. Took the idea, added her own. Turned out better than he would have thought alone. The well in the center. Near it, someone was constantly there. It became a place where people gathered and talked. Unplanned result. Tagaro below, explaining to Nori how to make knots for traps. Nori listened attentively. Already on the second day, he himself was explaining what he remembered to 2 younger girls. Knowledge spread. 3 new huntresses, young 18-20, asked Nari to teach them what they saw in the skirmish. Nari said yes. Now they train every morning. Vari found 5 plants in the jungle that Kangdae had described. Made infusions. Came and placed in front of him a row of small woven vessels. Said check. He checked. Correct. Everything correct. Voice from below. Kangdae. Nari looked from below. Come down. Abeke is calling. Coming. Climbed down from the tower. Nari walked beside him, silently. Then, Dakuvanga have not come for a month already. They are thinking, preparing. Do you think about what will happen when they come again? Every day, and we have more time than they think, said Kangdae, because we use it, and they do not. Nari walked silently. Thinking about something else, she asked. About Ratuvai, said Kangdae. I want to reach there. Abeke did not let strangers in. I know. Will you ask? I will ask. She will say yes, said Nari. How do you know? Because you are no longer a stranger, said simply, without decorations. Kangdae looked at her. Nari looked ahead, but there was something in her face. They reached the central house. Abeke waited inside. Next to her Vauri, and both old men and unexpectedly Okoro, the oldest of the old men who was always silent. A serious meeting. Abeke began to speak, for a long time. Vari translated, Dakuvanga do not just rob us, they have our men, captives. For 3 years, some are alive. Traders from the southern shore say, before we could do nothing, now we think differently. Kangdae listened. You showed us what a fortress is, showed traps, showed how to win with fewer numbers. Now the question. Abeke looked at him. Can you show us how to get our people back? Kangdae sat. 38 days ago he fell from the sky. Without a plan, without language, without understanding where he was. Now the elder of the island looks at him and asks, Ratuvai chose. The island chose. Now it is clear why. Yes, said Kangdae. Abeke nodded. Once, slowly, as always. Beyond the walls of the house the village lived. Nori explained knots. Tagoro argued with someone. Vari laughed at something, a rare laugh. The island outside breathed. Green light in the depths of the jungle pulsed. Waited. 3 months. That was the time Kangdae asked from Abeke. Not for an attack, for reconnaissance. For understanding, for preparing people. You cannot go to free captives without knowing where they are, how many guards, what perimeter, what schedule. This is not courage, this is suicide. Abeke agreed. 3 months. First question, who will go to look? Nari offered herself immediately. Kangdae refused. She was surprised. Not offended. Surprised. Why? They know your face, said Kangdae. Dakuvanga have seen you 3 times. They will recognize you. Then who? Kangdae thought. Need a person they do not know. Smart enough to remember everything. Cool-headed enough not to give himself away. Fast enough to escape if discovered. His gaze fell on Nori. The boy sat aside. As always quietly. Listened to everything, remembered. 12 years old, silent, never rushes. Observes before acting. Nori, called Kangdae. The boy raised his gaze. Have you been to the north of the island? Twice, said Nori. With my mother. Long ago. Do you remember? I remember everything, said simply. Without boasting, a fact. Tell me. Nori told. Accurately, in detail. Trails, landmarks, where the river is, where the rocks are. Kangdae listened. Nari listened. This boy? Said Nari after. Quietly, only to him. This boy is better than any adult for this task, said Kangdae. Children are invisible. No one thinks a child is a scout. Nari was silent. Will his mother allow it? We will ask. Nori's mother, Seila, a quiet woman who wove the best nets in the village, listened to Kangdae for a long time. Was silent for a long time. Then said, his father is there, in captivity. I know, he will go even if I forbid it. I know, said Kangdae again. Then let him go with you and not alone. A mother's logic. Absolutely correct. 2 went, Kangdae and Nori. In the morning, before dawn. Nori walked ahead, he knew the trails. Silently, naturally. Not trained, silent walk. Innate. Island. Kangdae behind him. adjusted his step, was surprised. 12 years old, walks like a shadow. After 2 hours, the first signs of foreign territory. Nori stopped, pointed with his hand down, track, fresh. Several people, heavy tread. Patrol, said Kangdae quietly. Nori nodded. Often? Nori raised 2 fingers, then pointed at the sun. Morning, noon. At least twice a day. They went around, further more slowly. By noon they came out onto a lookout ridge. Valley below. Kangdae lay on the stone, watched. The Dakavanga camp was large, about 150 people, maybe more. Fortified but differently from Abare. Not a permanent palisade, poles and ropes. Temporary but large. Warriors separate, women and children separate. In the far part of the camp, something else. A fenced area, smaller. People inside do not move freely. Captives. Watched for a long time, counted. About 20 people in the enclosure. The Abare men were there. Nori lay nearby, silent. But Kangdae saw, he found his father with his gaze. Or thought he found him. Looked without tearing away at one point. Nori, yes, remember everything you see, already have. They lay for an hour, then left. On the way back, Nori was silent. For him, this was not rare. But different silence, heavier. Father there? Asked Kangdae. I think yes. Alive. Did you see? Alive. Kangdae. Yes. How many of us do we need to pull them out? Not as many as we have, said honestly. Not by force. Then how? I'm thinking. Nori nodded, accepted the answer. Good boy. Does not press, waits. Returned in the evening. Meeting. Abeka, Nari, Vauri. 2 old men. Kangdae reported. Vauri translated where language was lacking. Nori added details. Accurately, without emotions, professionally. Abeke looked at the boy with something like respect. After, silence. Then Okoro, the oldest of the old men, who almost never spoke, uttered something long. Vauri translated. Dakuvanga are not just a strong tribe. They have a chief named Hera. Hera is smart, cruel, far-sighted. 3 years ago he attacked because he wanted working hands, not to kill. The Abare men build fortifications for him, extract stone. He will not kill them while they are needed, but if he sees a threat from Abare, he will kill immediately. That is why for 3 years we did not attack. We feared he would kill the captives. Kangdae listened. Hara, smart opponent, keeps hostages as insurance. Standard tactic. It works while the other side is afraid. What makes the tactic ineffective is when the other side stops being afraid, or when the hostages are pulled out before the opponent has time to react. How much time from our village to the Dakuvanga camp at a fast pace? He asked. 4 hours, said Nori. At night? 5, 6? How many guards at the captives? Saw 3, maybe more. Do they change? I don't know. Need to know. Nori nodded. I will go again without words. Kangdae looked at Abeke. I need another 2 months and answers to 10 questions. Ask, in parallel with reconnaissance, training. Kangdae looked at the Abare huntresses realistically. They are good. Fast, agile, throw accurately, know the jungle better than him, but not trained in group combat. Each is good on her own. Together, chaos. Military principle, a lone fighter, and a trained unit are different things. Started small. Pairs taught to work in pairs. One attacks, the second covers. Then they switched. Nari grasped it on the 3rd day. Began to explain to others herself better than he did. In her own words, through examples they understood. Again, he gives the principle, she translates it into practice. After 2 weeks, went 4s, then 8s. Not an army, but people who can act in coordination. Vari at this time was doing something else. Came to Kangdae on the 10th day with a bunch of grass. What is this? He asked. Sleep grass, she said. Infusion. A person falls asleep. Quickly. Kangdae looked at her. Strong. Depends on the amount. Small. Heavy sleep for an hour. Large. For the night. How fast does it act? Drank. After 100 heartbeats. On skin slower. Need to get into a wound or into the eye. Vari. Yes. Have you known this for a long time? I have known for a long time. Did not use on people. Why now? Because you were thinking how to pull out the captives without blood. This will help. The healer thinks ahead. It will help, agreed Kangdae. Nori went north 3 times. Each time brought more. After the 3rd time, the report was detailed. Guards at the captives, 4 people. They changed twice during the night. The night is divided into 3 parts. Dakuvanga count differently. Change when stars of certain groups reach the zenith. Captives in a pit. Not a cage. A pit with a wooden cover. Remove the cover, 2 people, 2 minutes. Distance from the pit to the southern edge of the camp, 100 steps. To the jungle, another 50. Patrol around the perimeter. 1 person, lazy, stops at the large fire for a long time. Kangdae listened, drew on the ground. Nari looked over his shoulder. 150 to 20, she said, even if part are sleeping. We are not fighting 150, said Kangdae. Then who? The 4 guards and 1 lazy patrolman. Nari looked at the diagram. At night, she said. At 3 o'clock at night. When they sleep the hardest. How to leave with 20 people who have been in a pit for 3 years? Will they be able to walk? Right question. The main question. Nori, Kangdae turned. When you saw them, how did they look? Thin. But they walk. I saw them working. Will they be able to go far? I don't know. Vari spoke up. I will go with you. No, said Kangdae. I will go, she repeated. They have been in a pit for 3 years. There may be wounds, illnesses. Without me, we may lose people during the retreat. She is right. Good. On the 40th day of preparation, the Dakuvanga came again. Not with an attack. 1 person, to the Abare gates. With hands raised, negotiations. Nari wanted not to let him in. Kangdae stopped her. Let's hear what he will say. Information is more important than closed gates. Let him in. The messenger as a young warrior, sturdy. On his face, that same red stripe, the color of Dakuvanga. Spoke. Vari translated. Hara saw that Abare had changed. Hara respects strength. Hara offers. Leave us in peace in the north, we will leave you in peace in the south. Border, the middle river. We will not give back the captives. They are now Dakuvanga. Silence in the village. Abeke, not a word. Kangdae stepped forward. Ask him, he said to Vari. Will Hera himself come to talk? Vari translated. The messenger was surprised. Said something. Says Hera does not go to small tribes. Hera receives at his place. Tell him, said Kangdae slowly. Let Hera come. 1 with 2 warriors, and we will receive the same way. If he does not come, there is no answer to his proposal. The messenger listened to the translation, looked at Kangdae for a long time, left. Nari quietly to Kangdae. Why? I want to see Hera, said Kangdae. I want to understand how he thinks. He will not come. Pride will not allow it. Then we will learn whether pride is more important to him than benefit. That is also information. And if he comes, then I will see a smart man who knows how to swallow pride for the sake of the goal. That is more important, Nari thought. You think like him. I try, said Kangdae. On the 3rd day, Hera came. 1 plus 2 warriors, as said. Kangdae stood at the gates, watched. Hara, 50, maybe more. Not tall, broad-shouldered. Movements calm, not cautious, calm. A man who does not need to hurry because he is used to everything going as he wants. Smart eyes, looks, notices everything. Palisade, tower, placement of huntresses, counts, entered, sat by the fire, Abeke, Kangdae, Nari. Hara with 2 warriors opposite, Vauri, translator between them. Hara spoke first. Looked at Kangdae. Who are you? You were not here before. Came from the sky, said Kangdae through Vari. Skyboat fell. Hara listened to the translation. Something like interest in his face. Sky people do not exist. I was the first, agreed Kangdae. Anything happens. Hera something like a smile. Almost. You built this, pointed at the fortifications. We built it. Together, built well. I looked. I know you looked. Hera stopped. Looked differently, you know? Traces at the northern ridge. 3, 4 days ago. Hera looked at him. For a long time. In a new way. What do you want? Asked Hera. Directly. Translation not needed. Intonation clear. The captives, said Kangdae. The Abare men. No, what do you want? Peace on the island. Border. Border without captives is not peace, said Kangdae. It is a delay. Hera listened to the translation, was silent. Knows it is true. What do you offer? He asked finally. Kangdae thought for a second. You want builders. People who know how to make things strong. I will teach your people to build better than the captives can. Without coercion. Voluntarily. Abare will trade with Dakuvanga copper, grain, medicines. Hara listened, face impassive. In exchange, you will give back the captives, and will not touch Abare anymore. Hara was silent for a long time, calculating, weighing, then said something. Vari translated slowly. You offer me more than I have now, trade, knowledge. But you want me to give what I already have. This is a bad deal. Bad deal? Said Kangdae. Count differently. Now you have 20 weakened captives who work slowly and hate you. You give them away, you get everything I said. Plus Abare will not look for a way to destroy you, and we will find a way. The last he said calmly, not threatening, stating. Hara looked at him. For a long time. 3 days, said Hara finally. I will think. Good. Stood up. Nodded to Abeke. Respect to the elder, minimal but there. Left. Nari, when the Dakuvanga went out, the gates turned to Kangdae. He will not agree. Maybe. You saw his eyes when you spoke about destruction. I saw. He does not believe. He is right to do so, said Kangdae. While he does not believe, what does that mean? That means we have 3 days to give him a reason to believe. Nari looked. What have you planned? I will tell you at night. Kangdae looked at the jungle. First, I need to talk to Nori. Nori left for the north at night, alone. Kangdae wanted to go with him. Nori refused. 1 is quiet. 2 are noisier, no arguing. The task was simple and difficult at the same time. Enter the Dakuvanga camp. Not to the captives, to the edge where the supplies stand. Leave something. Leave. Something. A small bag with powder from sleepgrass that Vari had prepared. Sprinkle over the grain pit. Not all part, so that several people feel it. Not die. Sleep through. A message. We can enter when we want. Nori returned before dawn. Done. Did anyone see? No? Patrol? Went around. Kangdae looked at the boy. 12 years old. Entered the camp of 150 warriors alone at night. Left. No one saw. Nori. Yes, when you grow up, do not waste yourself on small things. Nori looked. Did not understand fully, but felt something. Nodded. Went to sleep. On the second night, Kangdae worked. Alone. Not into the camp. To the ridge above the valley. There a large stone visible from the Dakuvanga camp. Kangdae carved signs. With a hammer and chisel from stone that he made during the day. Wrote for a long time. Carefully. At dawn it was ready. On the stone. Abare signs. Large, clear. Visible from the Dakuvanga camp on a clear day. What was written did not matter. Important that something was written at all. That these people have a language on stone. That they left a trace on his territory without his knowledge. The second message. We are here. We know how. We are not afraid. On the third night, they did nothing. Intentionally. Kangdae explained to Nari, 2 actions in silence are scarier than 3 actions? Why? Because you wait for the third, and you do not know what it will be. And when? Nari thought. You make him fear what does not exist. I make him think about what he does not know. That is worse than fear. It is a bit cruel. These are negotiations, said Kangdae. Better than spears. Nari agreed. Without joy, but agreed. On the 4th day, the messenger again. Not the warrior with the red stripe. Another. Older, with gray hair. A respected person of Dakuvanga. Spoke for a long time. Vari translated. Hara saw the signs on the stone. Hara lost 3 warriors, like they fell asleep on duty. Hara thinks that the Sky Man can enter the camp when he wants. Hara agrees. He gives back the captives. He recognizes the border. He accepts trade. 1 condition. Kangdae waited. The Sky Man personally comes to teach the Dakuvanga warriors to build. Not Abare, himself. Hara wants to see him at his place, in the translation. This is a sign of trust from both sides, Kangdae thought. Bait. or an honest condition, or both. Hera wants to see me at his place, to study, to understand what I am. A smart man wants to know who he is dealing with. One can refuse, then there's no deal. One can agree. Then I go to 150 Dakuvanga who may decide it is more profitable to take me than to trade. But Hara is smart. Smart people do not break profitable agreements first. Agreed, said Kangdae. Nari exhaled, sharply. He looked at her, face even, but something in the eyes. Worry. Interesting. He came 2 days later, gave Hara time to prepare. Not out of politeness, so that Nori would have time to inspect the perimeter once more. With him, Nari and Vauri. Hara said 2 or 3. Kangdae chose these. Nari because she is the best warrior. Vauri because she is the healer and translator. The Dakuvanga camp up close was different from how it looked from the ridge. Large, noisy, alive. Smell of fire, leather, boiled meat. Children running. This was unexpected. Ordinary children. Warriors looked with curiosity, with assessment, some hostile. But no one moved. Hara had forbidden it. Noticeable. Hara met them himself. In daylight, Kangdae examined him more attentively. Scars. Many. Right arm, 1 long one from shoulder to elbow. Face, 2. Lived intensely, eyes in the light darker than they seemed, and smarter. Gesture, sit. They sat by the fire in the center of the camp. Openly, everyone sees. Hera demonstrates to his own, look, I received the Skyman as an equal. Internal politics. They talked for a long time through Vori. Hara asked about the fortifications. Seriously, professionally, wanted to understand the principles, not just copy. Kangdae answered honestly. Good questions, mean the man thinks. It is easier to agree forever with a thinking man than temporarily with a non-thinking one. Then Hera stood up. Sign, follow me. Led to the pit with the captives. Guards moved aside, removed the cover. Kangdae looked down. 22 people. Abare men thin, exhausted but alive. Looked from below, one raised his gaze. Then looked past Kangdae, at Nari. Nari stood nearby. Face stony, absolutely. But hands, clenched, until white knuckles. Someone among these people is very important to her. Hara said something, Vari translated. See? Alive. I kept my word. I see, said Kangdae. Will you give them today? Tomorrow. First you will show my people one thing. Construction. They will remember. Tomorrow morning the captives are yours? Honestly, 1 day of work for 22 people. Good. They stayed overnight, Hera offered. To refuse would mean to offend. Gave a place by the fire, separate, respect. Nari did not sleep, Kangdae saw. Lay looked at the sky. Nari. Yes. Who is there? Silence. Brother, she said finally. So that's how. Older? Older. By 3 years. Taught you to hunt? Long. He was the best hunter of the tribe. Quietly. When the Dakuvanga came, he covered the retreat. Led the children out. Left last. They caught him last. Yes. Silence. The Dakuvanga camp around slept, breathed, snored. Tomorrow, said Kangdae. I know. Nari. What? Sleep a little. Tomorrow is a long walk back. People from the pit will walk slowly. Nari turned on her side, back to him. After a few minutes, her breathing changed. Fell asleep. She knows how, like all experienced warriors, to sleep when necessary regardless of everything. Kangdae lay, looked at the stars. How he got here, he does not know. Why the island chose him, he does not know. What will happen next, he does not know. He knows one thing. Tomorrow morning, 22 people will come out of the pit, and among them, Nari's brother. That is enough for now. Closed his eyes. In the morning he worked, gathered 30 Dakuvanga warriors. They came to watch. Hara among them, to the side. Showed how to lay logs correctly, angle, binding, base. Principles that turn a fence into a wall. Worked with his hands himself, not just explained. Dakuvanga watched, at first skeptically. Then Kangdae took a section they had stacked the old way. Pushed. It fell. Took a section he had stacked the new way. Pushed. It stood, humming in the crowd. One of the warriors, young, broad-shouldered, said something. Vauri translated, allow me to try. Kangdae stepped back. Gesture, try. The guy repeated what he saw. Inaccurately. Kangdae corrected silently, showed with his hands where the mistake was. Tried again. Better. Pushed his section, it stood. The humming became different, approving. Hera behind the warriors' backs looked at Kangdae, nodded. Once. The agreement is in force. At noon, Hera opened the pit, himself, without intermediaries. The captives came out slowly, carefully, eyes adjusted to the light. Kangdae looked at each, health, all thin, several with unhealed wounds. One limps, the leg had been broken and healed incorrectly. Two coughing, but alive, all alive. Nari stood to the side. One of those coming out stopped, looked at her. Tall, with the same sharp features as hers, similar, now visible. Kano, said Nari, quietly. Brother stepped. Nari stepped towards him. They did not rush, both too much warriors for that, but Kano placed his hand on her shoulder. Nari on his. They stood like that. Enough. Vori was already among the captives. Examined, distributed what she brought, spoke quietly. Hara approached Kangdae. Skymon, he said through Vori. We keep the agreement. We keep it. Come in a moon. Teach more. I will come. Hera looked at him. One question. Yes, you could have entered the camp. 3 nights ago you could have entered, pulled out the captives. Why didn't you? Kangdae thought how to answer. Because I could, he said finally. Once. After that you would have killed all the captives and attacked Abare with everything you have. I need peace. Not one night. Hera listened to the translation. Long silence. Smart Skyman. Or cautious, said Kangdae. Hera. That same almost smile again. Turned. Went into the camp. They walked for 5 hours. Slowly, the captives were tired. Some leaned on others. Vari walked next to the limping man, helped. When the Abare palisade appeared, people were already running from the village. Tagaro first shouted something joyful, incomprehensible, just shouted. Behind him, women, children, old men. The meeting was loud. After the quiet village, this was strange. It turns out Abare know how to be loud. Kangdae stepped aside, watched. 22 people from the pit entered the gates. Some were met, some were not. 3 years is enough for someone not to wait. Nari next to her brother, Kano. Kano embraced his mother, who came out last from the gates, slowly. Did not cry, held herself. Tagaro found his father among the returned. Kangdae saw how the boy stopped in front of a tall man. Both froze. Then the father knelt and embraced his son. Nori did not run, walked, slowly, to the father he found in the crowd, stood nearby, quietly said something. The father placed his hand on his head, held for a long time. Abeke came out last of all, walked through the crowd, they parted, stood in front of the returned, spoke for a long time. Kangdae did not understand all the words but understood the meaning. Welcome home. Then Abeke turned to him, approached, looked, said one word. Vari was not nearby, but he already knew this word. Aikane. In the Abare language, ally. One of our own. Kangdae nodded. Abeke turned, went to her house. Nari came to him after a few minutes. Kano behind her, a little to the side. Kangdae. Yes, brother wants to speak with you. Kano stepped forward, looked at Kangdae. For a long time. Then said something briefly. Nari translated, says. Nari paused a little, says, I heard about you while I was in the pit. Traders talked, rumors. Thought it was fiction. And now, Nari asked her brother. Kano answered, says now he thinks the rumors were modest. Kangdae smirked. Tell him rumors are always modest or exaggerated. Truth is in the middle, Nari translated. Kano answered something briefly, looked at his sister, then at Kangdae, left. What did he say? Asked Kangdae. Nari was silent for a second, said, Good man. That's all? No, said Nari. Looked to the side, not at him. Also said that he is glad this man is here. Did he mean the island? Nari looked at him. No. Silence between them. The village behind their backs was noisy, fires burned, someone laughed, someone cried. Alive. Full. Nari. Yes? Is the island still without a name? It always was without a name. We just called it the island. It needs a name. Why? Because a place that changes people deserves a name, Nari thought. Abeke decides such things. We will ask Abeke. What will you suggest? Kangdae looked at the jungle, at the green light that pulsed in the depths, barely noticeable now in the twilight. Ratuvai, heart of the island. Let Ratuvai itself suggest, he said. I will finally go to it. Nari looked at him. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, I will go with you. Good. Lights of the village behind. Warm, alive. The island around breathed, with its own rhythm, its own pulse. Waited. Kangdae did not sleep. Lay on his back. Looked at the ceiling of his house. Now he had a house, the Abare built it themselves. Without request, one day he returned from hunting and the house simply was there. Small, strong. Like everything Abare build. Without excess, but reliable. Thought. 3 months on the island, of them 2 in constant motion. Fortifications, training, reconnaissance, negotiations. Ratuvai waited. He postponed. Not out of fear, it's out of busyness. Or out of fear. Hard to distinguish when you explain to yourself. Tomorrow he goes there. What he will find he does not know. What it is, Abeke knows more. But does not say fully. Says you will see yourself. Some things cannot be explained, only experienced. The last time something similar was said to him was during mountain training. Instructor before the first night descent without insurance. Explaining is useless, just go. He descended then. He will now too. Got up before dawn, came out of the house, the village slept. Quiet. Only the watchwoman on the tower, he saw the silhouette. Sat by the small fire outside, waited for dawn. Nari came after half an hour, silently. Brought food, boiled roots and meat. Placed it nearby. Sat down too. Ate in silence. Good silence. They have known how to do this for a long time already. Dawn came. Stood up. Went. Jungle at the edge of the village. Familiar. Traveled for 3 months. Further indifferent. Kangdae felt it after an hour of walking. Gradually, like pressure changes when climbing, became quieter. Even quieter than the usual strange silence of the island. No birds, no insects, only steps. And smell different. Not the jungle damp smell. Cleaner. Like after a thunderstorm, but constant. Nari walked ahead. Knew the way, Abeki showed once, long ago. She herself had not walked, knew where. Stopped by a large stone, pointed. Behind the stone, descent. Not deep, gentle. Down into a small hollow. And there, white light. During the day, barely visible. Greenish flickering at the ground, like fog that glows from inside. Not bright, but there. And during the day there, means strong, if visible during the day. Kangdae looked. Have you been here, he asked. No, said Nari. No one goes. Only Abeke once a year. Alone. Why are you going now? Nari looked at the light. Because you are going, she said simply. Not an explanation. Enough. They descended. The hollow was small. 30 meters in diameter, trees around unusual. Kangdae already knew the island's jungle well. These trees are not like the others. Lighter bark, leaves dark, almost black, but with veins that faintly glow. With the same green. In the center of the hollow, a stone. Flat, wide, like a table. On it, moss, thick, and through the moss light comes, from below upward, pulsating, slow rhythm, like the breathing of a sleeping person. Kangdae stopped at the edge of the hollow, looked. Nothing supernatural in appearance. Stone, moss, light of unclear origin. But the body reacts. That same charge he felt on the first day here. It is 10 times stronger. Like standing next to a powerful generator. Nari nearby. Quiet. Face serious. Not frightened. What do you feel? Asked Kangdae. A bit heavy, she said. Like before a thunderstorm in the head. Painful? No, just heavy. For him, not heavy. For him, the opposite. Like coming home. Interesting. Stepped into the hollow. Air changed immediately, sharply, denser. Each breath like 2 ordinary ones. Walked to the stone slowly. Stopped in front of it. Ratu Vai. Heart of the island. Placed his hand on the moss. Hard to describe exactly. Not a vision, not words, not a voice. Rather understanding. Direct, without language. As if someone placed knowledge straight into the head, bypassing hearing and sight. The island is alive. Not a metaphor, literally. Ratuvai is not just a stone with moss. It is a node of something, a nerve center, of the island. Or of something bigger, unclear. The island has existed for a long time, very long. The Abre people came long ago too, but by the island's measure recently. The island accepted them, allowed them to live. Sometimes the island brings someone, rarely, when needed. Why needed the island does not explain in words. Shows? Kangdae saw quickly like flashes. Abare, a small tribe. Always was. Always will be if it remains small and vulnerable. Dakuvanga are not the last who will come. After them others. The island is small, but there is something in it. Ratuvai, it attracts. It will always attract. Abare needs strength. Not the strength of weapons, the strength of knowledge. Strength that is passed on. Multiplied. That is why Kangdae. Not because he is the chosen one in a pompous sense. Because he is needed. At the needed time. With the needed set. Builder, soldier. A man who knows how to pass on. Ratuvai is not omnipotent. It cannot give Abare an army or walls. But it can bring a man who knows how. That is all. Simple and without mysticism. Kangdae removed his hand. Stood, head clear. Clearer than usual. Turned. Nari stood at the edge of the hollow. Looked at him. Waited. Everything good? She asked. Yes, what was there? Understood something. What? Kangdae looked at the stone. At the pulsating light. That there is no secret, he said. Just someone was needed. I turned out to be the one who was needed. That's all, that's all. Nari thought. Then why do you look different? How? Calmer. Because I stopped thinking that I must understand why I am here, he said. I am simply here. Simply doing what I know how to do. Nari looked at him. For a long time. Then turned. Let's go back, she said. Abeka is waiting. The elder waited by her house. Sat, eyes closed, not sleeping, heard them coming from afar. Opened her eyes when they sat nearby. Looked at Kangdae, asked something quietly. Vari was not nearby, but Kangdae understood. Language in 3 months. What did it tell you? That I am not here by chance, he said, and that the work is not finished. Abeke nodded, expected this answer. Said something long, slowly knowing he does not understand everything. Kangdae picked out words. Everyone to whom Ratuvai gave strength. Came, did, and left. Some died here, some left. I am not leaving, he said. Abeke looked. For now I am not leaving, he corrected honestly. Something in the elder's face. Not a smile. Something subtle. Said one word. Kangdae knew this word. Vakanda in the Abre language. Truth that is not always spoken, but should be. Honesty that is worth more than convenient lies. Yes, he said. Vakanda. Abeke nodded, closed her eyes again. Conversation over. Everything that needed to be said was said. Kano, Nari's brother, recovered quickly. 3 years in the pit did not break him, rather hardened him. Like a knife that had not been used for a long time became even sharper. Came to Kangdae a week after returning. Did not ask. Simply began working nearby. Without explanations, helped with strengthening the eastern wall. Did what was shown, asked when he did not understand. Remembered immediately. Smart, strong, experienced. For 3 years observed Dakuvanga. Knows them from inside. On the 3rd day of joint work, Kangdae asked directly, Kano, tell me how Dakuvanga are organized. From inside. Kano was not surprised. Waited for this question. Spoke for a long time. Kangdae listened. Sometimes asked again. Language still not full. Dakuvanga, 3 clans. Hera is chief of only one, the largest. The other 2 chiefs obey, but not always. If Hera weakens, they will disperse. Hera holds power through victories and spoils. For 3 years not attacking Abare, for him this is a loss of face before the other chiefs. The agreement he accepted is a risky step. If trade gives less than promised, the other chiefs will be dissatisfied. Means trade must be profitable, visibly profitable, quickly. What do Dakuvanga need most of all, asked Kangdae. Metal, said Kano without hesitation. Stone weapons are good, copper is better. They saw knives on our huntresses when they attacked. They want. We can make copper. I know, trading with them in a week is too early. Kangdae thought aloud. In a month is normal. We will show that we can give regularly. Hara is waiting. Let him wait a little. Waiting increases value. Kano looked at him. Nari said you think differently, he said. How? Not like a warrior. Further. I am a builder, said Kangdae. A builder always thinks about what will be after he has built. This is useful. Sometimes... Kangdae? Yes. I owe you. You owe nothing. I owe, said Kano. Calmly, firmly. Not discussed. What should I do for you? Kangdae looked at him. A proud man. Would not accept refusal. Teach the huntresses what you saw with Dakuvanga, he said. How they fight, what tactics. So they know, Kano thought. That's all? That is important. Good, said Kano. I will. Shook hand in their way, Abare, wrist to wrist. Agreement concluded. Tagaro, after his father's return, changed. Did not break, did not soften, on the contrary. Became more serious. As if he understood something that cannot be understood before a certain age. Continued to come to Kangdae, but different questions now. Before, how does this work? Now, why does this work? The difference is huge. Once he brought a bundle of branches of different thickness, placed it in front of Kangdae. Explain, he said. Why is a thick branch harder to break? Not just because it is thick. Why? Kangdae looked at the boy. 13 years old. Wants to understand the principle, not only the result. Took the branches. Began to explain as much as the language allowed and as much as physics allowed without formulas. Fibers, how they are arranged. The more fibers, the more need to break at the same time. Effort not in one point, but across the entire cross-section. Tagaro listened. Then took 2 branches, thin and thick, broke, looked at the breaks. Here are fibers, he said. I see. Yes, if you put several thin ones together like one thick, almost. Depends how you put them. Show. They worked for an hour. By the end, Tagaro himself found that if thin branches are twisted in a certain way, the bundle is stronger than a single branch of the same total diameter. Why? He asked himself aloud. Because the fibers of different branches support each other, said Kangdae. In different directions. Can this be applied to the palisade? Good question. Very good. Yes, said Kangdae slowly. It can be applied. But labor-intensive. Needs a lot of material. But stronger? Much stronger. Tagaro stood up. Looked at the village palisade. When do we start? He asked. Kangdae laughed. Tomorrow. Good, said Tagaro. Absolutely seriously. I will tell Asoba to prepare material this evening. Asoba is one of the senior huntresses whom Tagaro somehow convinced to help him with his ideas. The boy knows how to negotiate. Nori, after his father's return, became different. Differently from Tagaro. Not more serious. He was already serious. Quieter. Good quiet. Quiet of a man who has gained something that was not there. His father, Seiko, tall, silent. 3 years in the pit made him slow in body but not in mind. Listened a lot, spoke little. Watched everything. Once he approached Kangdae himself. Nori told about you, he said. A lot. What did he tell? Everything, said Seiko. Nori remembers everything. I know, says you teach him. He learns himself. I am nearby. Seiko looked at him. For 3 years in the pit, I thought my son was growing up without a father. Thought he would grow up badly. Weak. He grew up strong, said Kangdae. Yes, this is your work too. His mother, Abeke, Nari, and himself. Seiko nodded. Accepted. Not as denial of his words, as addition. I was a blacksmith, said Seiko suddenly. Before Dakuvanga, worked stone. Well, I know. Nori talked. I want again. A forge is needed, said Kangdae. Copper. Not the small one that exists. A proper one. Something in Seiko's eyes. Will you show how? I will show, and you yourself know a lot. Together we will make better. Tomorrow? Asked Seiko. Kangdae smiled. This word he hears often from Abare people. They want to start immediately. Good people. Tomorrow, in a month, the first day of trade with Dakuvanga. The border was on the middle river. Neutral place. Abare brought copper knives, 3 pieces, small supplies of grain, the first contribution. Vauri's medicinal infusions. Dakuvanga brought hides, dried meat, stone of a rare type. Hara came himself, looked at the copper knives for a long time, took one, tested it, passed it to his own, said something. Kangdae threw Vari. Wants 20 knives, immediately. Tell him 10 in 2 months, answered Kangdae. Translation. Hara displeased. Why not immediately? Because we make them well. Good is not fast, Hera thought. Then nodded. And tell him more, added Kangdae. If he wants faster, let him send people to learn to smelt copper. They will make it themselves, Vari translated. Hara looked at him. You offer to teach us to do what you do. Yes, why? Then we will not depend on you. Depend on trade or on knowledge, said Kangdae. Knowledge is better. Long silence from Hera. Then something in his face changed, slowly. Like when a difficult man finally accepts an idea he did not want to accept. I will send 2 people in a week. Good. Nari next to Kangdae quietly. You are giving them our strength. I am giving them the opportunity, he answered. That is different. How is it different? Our strength is not in copper. It is in that we know how to work together. You cannot teach that in a month, Nari thought. Are you sure? No, honestly, but we will try. In the evening after the trading day, Nari came to his fire. Brought food, placed it, sat down. Familiar, they often did so. Sat together in silence, ate, thought. But today she spoke immediately, Kangdae. Yes, I want to ask something. Ask. I have not asked for a long time. I know, there where you came from. Was there a woman? Kangdae did not expect this question, although he should have. Was silent for a second. There was, he said honestly. Wife? No. Close one? Long ago. What happened? Work. Constantly leaving. At some point she stopped waiting. That was right on her part. Nari listened. Do you miss her? Not her. Long ago. I miss sometimes the way I was with her. Younger. Simpler. Here you are not simple? Here I am different. Better or worse, Kangdae thought. More correct, he said, as if here is the place where I should be. Nari looked at the fire. Ratuvai brought you. Yes, so here is your place. I think so. Long silence. Kangdae. Yes, I have never asked such things of men, she said, directly, without embarrassment. She always was like that. There was no reason. Now there is, he asked. Nari did not answer immediately, looked at the fire, then looked at him. Yes, she said. One word, but weighty. Nari does not say extra? Never. Kangdae looked at her. 3 months. Every day nearby. Worked, argued, were silent, fought. He knows how she holds a spear and how she sleeps when tired, and what she does with her face when she thinks and does not want to show that she thinks. She knows him the same, maybe better. Nari. Yes. I am here. I am not going anywhere. For now, he added. Honestly, as always. Vakanda, she said. Yes, Vakanda. The fire between them quiet even. Nari did not move away. Stayed where she was. Closer than usual. That was enough for now. 2 months after the captives' return, people came from the sea. Not Dakuvanga. Others. 3 boats, large, from the south. Moored at the eastern shore of the island. The watchwoman shouted. Nari was already gathering the huntresses. Kangdae ran to the tower, looked. About 40 people. Armed with spears, bows, something like shields. Different style from Dakuvanga. Different clothing. Brighter, with feathers. They are landing, not hiding. Walking openly, reconnaissance, or force. Came to see what is here. Nari. I see. How many on the walls? 12. Raise everyone, but do not shoot. Wait. Understood. They came to the gates, stopped outside. Their leader, Waslaw, a woman. Unexpected. Large, about 40, with a necklace of bones and feathers. Looked at the palisade. At the tower. At the huntresses on the walls. Said something, not Vari's language. Completely different. Unfamiliar. Not a single similar word. Kangdae descended from the tower. Came out to the gates from inside without opening them. Looked through the crack. The leader met his gaze. Smart eyes. Assessing. Sees the palisade, sees the fortifications, counts. Not hostile yet. Curious. Raised his hand, palm forward. The leader looked, then did the same. Palm forward. Universal gesture, the same everywhere. Kangdae opened the gates. A little. Came out himself without weapons. Stood. Nari behind the gates. He heard her hold her breath. The leader looked at him. For a long time, as a person who has seen much and knows how to read. People looks. Said something. One word. Questioningly. Name. Asking for a name. Kangdae, he said, pointed at her. She was silent for a moment. Then, Vika. Nodded. Vika. Gesture. Will you enter? Vika looked at him. At the gates? At the walls? Then nodded. Entered alone. Warriors stayed outside. Brave or confident. That is different. They sat by the fire. Kangdae, Abeke, Vori, Vika. No common language. Talked with gestures, drawings on the ground, objects. Slowly, but it worked. Vika came from the south. There are several islands there. Her tribe? Tavuni. Large. Why she came, drew on the ground. Kangdae looked, drew the island, drew light from below, from the ground. Pointed at the jungle. Pointed at Ratuvai, judging by the direction. Knows about it? Ratuvai, said Kangdae. Vika sharply raised her gaze. Said something quickly in her language. Abeke reacted. Said something too. In her own way. Then both old women looked at each other. Kangdae did not understand the words. But the atmosphere changed. As if two people learned they were talking about the same thing in different words. Vika took something from her belt. A small object. Stone, dark, polished, with greenish veins. Placed it on the ground between them. Kangdae looked at the stone. The same veins as on the trees in the hollow. The same shade. Ratuvai, he repeated. Vika nodded. Then pointed south, at her boats, then at the stone. Came to the source. Her tribe knows about the island. About Ratuvai. Came for what? To bow? To take something? Or looking for something similar to what is happening here? Vauri quietly to Kangdae. I am trying to understand her language. Some words are similar to the old Abre dialect. Ancient. If so, we are of one root once. One root. Diverged long ago. Different islands, different languages, but both know Ratuvai. Tell her, asked Kangdae. Try. Tell her here we are glad to those who come in peace. Vari tried. Slowly, feeling for words. Vika listened. Something began to clear in her face. Answered. Vari listened, she says. Vari thought. Says she heard about people here. From traders. Says something changed on the island. The light became different. Stronger. Sailed to sea. Ratuvai became stronger. After him. After the one who came. Kangdae looked at the stone with green veins. Interesting. For 3 days, the Tavuni stood camp at the eastern shore. Every day, Vika in the village. Sat, watched, listened. Language little by little, with Vori as a bridge. On the 3rd day, she said, Vari translated slowly, feeling for words. On our island, there is a disease. 3 years. People are dying. Healers do not know what to do. Tried everything. Heard that here there is a knowing healer. And a skyman. Came to ask for help. Silence. Kangdae looked at Vari. What kind of disease? Vari asked. Translated the answer. Fever, rash, weakness. Some die quickly, some survive. Unclear why some survive and others do not. Kangdae thought, sounds like infectious. Something viral or bacterial. Without modern medicine it is hard, but something can be done. Vari knows the island's herbs. If the disease is on another island, need to know local plants. And need to see the sick. Looked at Vauri. Vauri. Will you go? The healer thought. Not fear. Caution. If you go, she said finally. I go. Nari behind his back. Kangdae did not turn but heard. And I, said Nari, did not ask. Stated. In the evening, Abeke called, sat together. Without translator, Kangdae already understood enough. Abeke spoke slowly. You are leaving again, not for long. Every time you say not for long, this time it is true. To look, to help if I can. To return. Abeke was silent. Abeke? Yes, the village is strong now. Kano is a good warrior. Nori is smart. Tagaro is already a builder, not a student. They will manage. I know they will manage, said Abeke. I am not about that. About what? Long silence. Abeke looked at him. I am afraid you will leave and not return. Not because you will die, because you will find the next place that needs you. This was the most honest fear he had heard. Abeke, he said. Wakanda. Yes, I will return. Why are you sure, Kangdai thought. Why am I sure? Because of Nari. Because of Tagaro and Nori. Because of Kano, who shakes wrist. Because of this house that was built without request. Because Ratuvai shines brighter. And he still has not fully understood why. Because here there is something unfinished, he said. Abeke looked at him for a long time, then stood up, slowly approached him, placed her hand on his head, Abere gesture, elder to younger, blessing, said one word. I Kane, one of our own. Morning. Tavuni boats at the shore. The village came to see them off with the whole tribe. Kang Dai looked at the faces. Tagaro serious. Holds in his hands the drawing they made together. Already thinking how to strengthen another section while Kang Dai is away. It is visible. Nori next to his father, quiet. Looks as if memorizing. Then will tell in detail everything he saw as always. Kano at the gates. Stands straight. Nodded when their eyes met. Vari already in the boat. Checking the bag with herbs, businesslike, not afraid. Seiko at the forge, working. Did not come to see them off. That is his way of saying everything is normal. Abeka at the gates. Stood. Looked. Kangdai approached her last. She said something. Vari translated already from the boat, did not hear. But no translation needed. Kangdai understood. Return. I will return, he said. Went to the shore. Nari nearby. Walked in silence. Before entering the boat, she stopped. Turned to the village. Kangdai also stopped. Looked together with her. Palisade strong. Tower tall. Well in the center, houses solid. Inside people who now know how. Know how to build, heal, fight together, trade, teach. Know how to live. Nari. Yes, they never came up with a name. Nari looked at the village. Was silent. Then said, Vakanabare, she pronounced. In our language, truthful place. Or place where they speak truth, Kangdai thought. Good name. Will Abeki approve? She will approve. Nari looked at him. Kangdai. Yes, return quickly. Not a request, not an order. Just said what she wants. Wakanda, quickly he promised. Entered the boat. Tavuni pushed off from the shore. Oars even strong, the island went back. Kangdai looked. Palisade, tower. Figures of people at the shore, small but visible. Tagaro shouted something, already inaudible. Ratuvai in the depths of the island pulsed. Kangdai did not see it from here, but felt it, like a heart that knows you left, and waits. Nari nearby. Looked forward to the south. Vari was already questioning Vika about the disease with gestures and half-words. Vika answered. Work begins before they even arrived. Good. Kangdai turned forward too. Sea-wide, blue, horizon clear. The island without a name remained behind. Now it has a name. Vakanabare. Truthful place. His place. Island without a name. Part 4. Tavuni. Prologue. Sea 2 days in the boat. Kangdai did not fear the sea but respected it, especially after it had already once taken him and thrown him where it wanted. Tavuni boats are good. Wide, stable, with outriggers on the sides. Not flimsy, serious vessels. People who build such know the sea for a long time. Vika on the bow of the lead boat. Looks forward. Does not speak. Saves words since they left the island. Her people, 40 warriors, row evenly without talk. Coordinated. Good discipline. Interesting. Nari next to Kangdai. Sat, looked at the water. Not afraid, but the sea for her is unfamiliar. Huntress of the jungle, not a sailor. Normal, he asked. Normal, she said. Just a lot of water. Yes, very much. Yes, Kangdai. Yes, there where you came from. Was there such a sea too? Different sea, but also much. Did you miss it? Kangdai thought. No, he said honestly. Not the sea. People sometimes. Some people. Whom? An old friend. We served together. He'd laughed a lot. He was good. Was? Died. Long ago. Nari was silent for a moment. There are no such here, she said, who laugh a lot. Tagaro laughs. Tagaro is a child. Kano smiles sometimes. Once a month. Kangdae laughed unexpectedly for himself. Nari looked. Something in her face. Not a smile, but close. You laugh, she said. I laugh. So you found a replacement for your friend, said simply, without sentimentality. Kangdae looked at her. Nari, who says exactly what she thinks. Always. Found it, he agreed. First night at sea. On the second night, Vori came to Kangdae, quietly while the others slept. Kangdae. Yes, I spoke with Vika all day. Through words, through gestures. I understand her language better already. The base. What did you learn about the disease? Vori thought. Face serious. Starts with fever. Strong. A person loses consciousness, then rash. Red spots, first on the chest, then everywhere. Then either it passes or gets worse. Blood comes from the nose. From the ears sometimes. Kangdae listened. Systematized. Fever, rash, bleeding. Already 3 years. Not everyone dies. Means part have immunity or the disease is not constant in strength. Maybe seasonal. Or connected with water. Or with some animal. When does it start? What time of year? Vari asked Vika, who also did not sleep. Sat on the bow. Says in the rainy season. Every year in the rainy season it is worst. Rainy season. Stagnant water. Insects. Mosquitoes, said Kangdae. What? Small insects bite. Are there on their island? Vari asked. Yes, many in the rain. Malaria, or something similar. Without a microscope you cannot make an exact diagnosis. But it looks like it. What is there against malaria from what is available here? Quinine tree. No, that is South America. But wormwood? Artemisia. Is there here? Vari, do you know wormwood? Bitter grass with silvery leaf? Yes, I know. There is on the island. On their island will we find or need to bring? Vari asked Vika. Long exchange. Says she does not know such grass. But their island is large. Possibly there is. Good, said Kangdae. Also need to remove stagnant water. Drain or fill in. Insects breed in stagnant water. Do you think this will help? I think it will reduce. Will not remove completely, but there will be fewer sick. Vari looked at him. Where do you know such things from? There where I come from, people studied diseases for a long time, many hundreds of years, and learned to defeat them? Kangdae thought about his world, about hospitals, about vaccines, about antibiotics. Some defeated, he said. Others not yet. But they know more than we do. Yes, and you brought this knowledge here. Part small. Vari looked at the water. That is enough, she said quietly. At dawn of the second day, the island. Large, significantly larger than vacant Abere. Mountains in the center, green with white clouds on the peaks. Shore long, sandy, several villages visible from afar. Villages large? Tavuni is a large tribe. Kangdae understood this immediately. About 300 people only in the coastal villages. And that is not all. Boats moored. Many met them. Children, women, warriors. Looked at the strangers. Kangdae felt the gazes. Assessment. Not hostile, but wary. Strangers brought more strangers. Vika spoke with those meeting them, explained something. Gestured towards Kangdae and Vori. Reaction different. Some with interest. Several clearly disagreed. No unanimity in the tribe. Means Vika took a risk bringing them. Not everyone wanted. One man, tall with scars on his shoulders, spoke loudly. Pointed at Kangdae. Against. Vika answered him, firmly. Kangdae did not move. Waited. Not his conversation. To interfere would spoil. Nari nearby. Quietly. Someone does not like us. I see. What do we do? We wait. Vika will sort it out. And if she does not sort it out, then we politely go back to the boats. Nari nodded, accepted the plan. The man with scars said something else, loudly. The crowd murmured. Vika raised her voice. Command. They fell silent. Then turned to Kangdae. Said something. Vari. Says not everyone here is glad to us, translated Vari. But she is the chief. Her decision. She is the chief? Yes. Seems both just understood. Kangdae looked at Vika, chief of Tavuni, of a large tribe, sailed herself for help for her people. That requires strength and courage. To admit that help is needed is not weakness, it is intelligence. Approached the man with scars, stood opposite, looked. That one looked back, did not step back. Good warrior, confident in himself. Kangdae did not smile, did not raise his hands, just stood, calmly. Then slowly turned to the sick whom he saw at the nearest hut. Two lay on stretchers, visible even from here. Weak, pointed at them, pointed at Vari, then at the man with scars. Here are your people, they are dying. Do you want to continue arguing or do you want to save them? Without words, only gesture. The man looked at the sick, then at Kangdae, was silent for a long time, stepped aside, did not agree, but let them pass. Enough. Vari worked immediately. Kangdae nearby? Watched, helped, translated with gestures when Vari asked for instrument or water. Many sick. Not only those two at the hut. In the village, a separate house where the severe cases lay. Entered. 12 people, different ages, from a child of about 5 to an old man, fever and all. In some, the rash already developed. In 2, bleeding from the nose, weak. Vari examined each, methodically, attentively. Kangdae looked at the hut. Closed. Poor ventilation. Several people together. Disease spreads faster. Vari, yes, need to separate, each separately, or at least distance between them. Why? Disease passes from person to person. The closer, the faster. Vari stopped, looked at those lying. Is this knowledge exact? Exact. Good. I will tell Vika. While Vari translated to Vika, Kangdae squatted by the child. Boy, about 5. Strong fever, breathing, looked at him. Without antipyretics, only herbal infusions. Vari knows what to do with fever, but the root of the problem needs to be found. Behind steps, turned. The man with scars stood at the entrance. Looked at the boy. Yours? Asked Kangdae. Gesture, understandable. The man was silent for a moment, nodded. That is why he was angry. Son is sick. Afraid. Kangdae pointed at the boy, then at Vari. Then gesture understandable everywhere. It will be good. The man looked, then sat nearby, by the wall. Silently. Did not leave. Means he allows work. The man with scars was called Temu. Learned from Vika on the 3rd day when the language became a little clearer. Temu, chief warrior of Tavuni. Second person after Vika. Not husband. Tavuni have different power relations. Simply second. His son, Roy, 5 years, had been sick for 2 weeks already. Vari worked with the boy every day. Fever did not drop. Rose and fell, rose and fell. On the 4th day, Kangdae found wormwood. Not himself, with Nari. They walked around the inner part of the island, searched. Nari found first by the stream in the shade. Small bush, but it... This? She showed. Kangdae squatted, rubbed a leaf. Bitter smell. Characteristic. Yes, this. This. Nari looked at the bush. Unremarkable. Unremarkable is often strong. Vari always says so. Means Vari is right. Nari smirked. Not her smile, her version of a smile. Kangdae learned to distinguish. Collected for an hour, gathered enough. Returned to Vari. She looked at the grass, smelled, tasted on the tongue. Bitter? Yes, very bitter. Yes, the sick will not want to drink. Is there honey with Tavuni? Vari asked. There is. Bitter with honey is drunk. Not tasty, but drunk. Vari began to prepare the infusion. Kangdae looked, thought. Wormwood works against malarial plasmodium. This knowledge from his world, tested. Artemisinin is the active substance. Of course, there is no purified artemisinin here, but raw wormwood also works. Slower, weaker, but it works. And remove stagnant water. And separate the sick, and try to find the source. The boy Roy began to drink the infusion in the evening. Temu sat nearby, watched as Vari gave it to the boy. Did not interfere, was silent. By morning, the fever had dropped a little. Vari told Kangdae quietly, a little, not a victory yet. But movement, yes? Movement. Temu did not hear their conversation, but saw that Vari did not look worried. Understood something. Stood up, approached Kangdae, looked, then made a gesture. Wrist to wrist, the abere gesture. But it turns out not only abere, or Tavuni independently came to the same. Kangdae answered with the same gesture. Temu nodded. Left. First step. On the 5th day he took care of the water. Walked around the village, Nari nearby. Looked. Stagnant water everywhere. Pits after rains, large puddles by the houses, several places where water stands constantly. Lowlands, ideal place for mosquitoes to breed. Vika walked with them, listened to Vori's explanations. In one place, a large stagnant puddle at the edge of the village. Dark, foul-smelling. Kangdae pointed at it, then pointed at a small insect. Drew it in the air with his hands, then pointed at the sick in the hut. This bites disease. Vika looked at the puddle, then at him. There has always been this puddle, something like that in the gesture. Fill it in, said Kangdae. With earth. Remove it, Vika thought. Temu approached, listened. Vika asked him something. Temu looked at the puddle. At Kangdae. Shrugged. Gesture, why not? Vika nodded. By noon, 20 people worked with shovels. Filled in the puddle, leveled the lowlands, made ditches to drain rainwater. Drainage. The simplest engineering solution in the world. Nari watched how the Tavuni worked. Like with our canal, she said. The principle is similar. Water goes where you want and not where it wants itself. People are the same everywhere. Problems are the same everywhere, corrected Kangdae. People are different. Solutions are similar. Nari thought. Smart answer, or obvious. Sometimes it is the same thing. On the 7th day, Temu came to Kangdae at night. Alone, without weapons. Brought 2 wooden cups. Something dark poured in, smelled surish. Drink. Ritual or simply traditional, it does not matter. Invitation to talk. Sat by the fire outside. Drank. Surish, slightly intoxicating. Something from fermented fruits, not strong. Temu was silent for a long time. Kangdae, too, knows how to be silent. Good. Then Temu. Slowly the language between them was already a little understandable. Roy is better today. Heard from Vori. Fever dropped. Yes. Temu looked at the fire. For 3 years we have been losing people, he said. Every rainy season. I was angry when Vika brought you. I know. Thought strangers would not help. Would take something and leave. I understand. I was wrong, said Temu simply. Admission. Not easy for such a man. Kangdae looked at him. Not completely wrong, he said. We will leave. I know. But before that you help? Why? The same question. Everywhere the same question. Why do you help? Because Vori is a good healer and wants to learn from Tavuni's disease too, said Kangdae. Because Nari wants to know how other peoples live. Because I know how to do what I know how to do and it needs to be applied. Is that all? And because Roy is a 5-year-old boy, who has no reason to die. Temu listened, was silent for a long time. We say, he said finally, a man who helps without reason is either a fool or very smart. Which am I? Temu looked at him. Not a fool, he said. Kangdae smirked. Temu too. First time. Small, brief, but a smile. First crack in the armor. On the 10th day, Vika called Kangdae and Vori. Sat in her house, large with carved posts. Chief. Language became better in 10 days. With Vari as a bridge, the conversation worked. Vika spoke. Vari translated. The sick are better. Not all, but most. Fever drops. Roy got up yesterday. Walked. Good, said Kangdae. Wormwood helps. Drainage done everywhere. I want to understand if this is forever or only now. Not forever, honestly. The disease will return in the next rainy season. But less. If done correctly, every year less and less. What needs to be done? 3 things. Collect wormwood before the season. Prepare the infusion. Maintain drainage, not let stagnant water gather. And separate the sick immediately, not keep them together. Vari translated carefully. Vika listened, nodded, then said something. Vari translated. Says she wants someone from her people to learn from you and Vori, so as not to depend on your coming. Kangdae looked at Vika. Smart woman. Does not ask for fish, asks for a fishing rod. Good, he said. Who will learn? Vika named 3 people. One of them, to Kang Dae's surprise, was Temu. Temu learned awkwardly at first. A warrior learns to fight. Healing is different. Hands know how to hold a spear, do not know how to hold a bunch of herbs, but stubborn and attentive. Vari taught all 3. Kang Dae helped with explanations of principles. Why separate the sick? Principle of disease transmission. Why wormwood is not just grass, but something in it strikes something in the disease. Could not explain exactly without molecular biology. Explained differently, disease is alive. Wormwood kills part of it. Not all, enough for the body to cope itself. Temu listened, thought. On the 3rd day of study, he asked a question. Does this grass grow everywhere? Not everywhere. Likes shade, moisture, look for it by streams. We have little on the island. Can be grown, like you grow food. Plant by the stream, it will grow. Temu stopped. New thought. Visible how it arose. Grow the grass intentionally, yes. Like food. Like food. Can much be grown this way? Much, Kang Dae thought. This is a long conversation. In the evening, said Temu. Briefly, left. Came in the evening. With cups again. Saturday. Kang Dae told about agriculture. Temu listened for 3 hours. Did not interrupt. Only clarified when he did not understand. At the end, looked at Kang Dae. This can be started now. Can. Then tomorrow. Kang Dae looked at him and thought that Tavuni are different from Abare. Different from Dakuvanga. Their own culture, their own rhythm, but one thing in common. When they see meaning, they do it immediately. Maybe this is the trait of a good people. In 2 weeks on Tavuni, Nari fell in love with the sea. Not immediately, gradually. At first sat by the water, looked from the shore, then went in up to the knees, then up to the waist. On the 12th day, Kang Dae saw her swimming. Unskillfully with effort, but she swam. Approached the shore. Who taught you? Nari came out of the water, wet, slightly out of breath. From Lani, she said. Lani, a young warrior of Tavuni, same age as Nari. They came together on the 3rd day without words, through demonstration. Nari showed Abare techniques, Lani Tavuni. Mutual exchange. Were you not afraid? I was afraid, said Nari directly, then stopped. How? The sea is not evil, she said, just big. Need to respect it, not fear it. Like a bear. Kang Dae looked at her. Nari on the Tavuni island was not the same Nari who first came out with a spear onto the shore of Vakanabare. Did not change, opened up. Different context showed different in her. Nari. Yes. Did you ever think about living not only on one island? Nari looked at the sea. I thought, she said, sometimes. And Vakanabare is my home. But the world is bigger than one island. You taught me to think like that. Not me. You yourself. You showed that it is possible. Is that not the same as taught? Kang Dae thought. Maybe the same, he agreed. Nari looked at the water. I want to bring Lani to Vakanabare someday, she said. Let her see. We will bring her. Do you promise? I promise. Nari nodded. Accepted. On the 13th day, Roy came to Kang Dae. Himself. Without father. Small, still thin. The disease does not let go immediately, but eyes alive, curious. Stood in front of Kang Dae. Looked. Kang Dae squatted to be at eye level. Looked back. Roy said something. Quickly, childlike. Kang Dae did not understand. What? He said. In Tavuni language, he already knew this word. Roy repeated. Slower, still unclear, but intonation clear. Thank you. Or something similar. Kang Dae pointed at Vori, who was working nearby. She, he said. She treated. Roy looked at Vauri, then again at Kang Dae. Said something else. Insists. Includes you too. Kang Dae smiled. Good. Both. Roy nodded. Seriously, as if he finished an important matter. Turned. Ran away. Temu stood aside. Saw. Approached Kang Dae. He said you returned him to his father, translated himself. Wanted to say it himself. Kang Dae looked after the boy. Good son, he said. Good father, said Temu. Quietly. Looked at Kang Dae. You will be too. Unexpected. Kangdae did not answer immediately. Temu did not wait for an answer. Went to work. Kangdae stood. Thought. Never thought about children in that life. Work, contracts, movement. No place for that. Here it is different. Tagaro, Nori, Roy now. Maybe Temu sees something he himself does not see. On the 15th day, they announced they would leave tomorrow. In the evening, Vika gathered the whole village. Large fire, food for everyone. Not a holiday. Gratitude. Tavuni know how to do both separately. Kangdae sat next to Vika. Vauri next to the 3 students she taught. Nari with Lani. Temu opposite. Roy next to him pressed against his father, falling asleep. Talked for a long time. Languages mixed, Tavuni, Abare language, gestures. It did not matter exactly what. It mattered that they spoke. Then Vika stood up. Spoke loudly for the whole village. Vari translated in a whisper. These people came from another island. We did not call them. Vika called. Some did not want. Now saw themselves. Our children live. Our land changes for the better. This is a gift. Gifts need to be returned. Tavuni will be a friend of the island Vakanabere. Tavuni will be a friend of the Sky Man. This is the word of the chief. The word of the chief is stone. The village answered. In chorus. One word. Temu stood up. Spoke too. Vari translated. Temu says, I was wrong on the first day. It is not weakness to admit this, and it is strength. Tavuni are strong. Therefore we admit the mistake. The village again in chorus. Kangdae watched this. A culture where admitting a mistake is strength and not weakness. Rare. Good. Stood up. Spoke briefly through Vari. We came to teach, but we ourselves learned. From Tavuni. From Vika. From Temu. We leave richer than we came. Thank you, Vari translated. Village silence after the translation. Then Roy, who it turns out was not sleeping, shouted something, loudly in a child's voice. The village laughed. What did he say? Asked Kangdae of Vari. Vari smiled, said, Come again. Tavuni gave a smaller boat, but a good one, and 2 rowers to halfway. The first day of the return journey quiet. Good silence. Fatigue after work? Not the fatigue that empties. The one that fills. Vari sat with notes. Wrote on thin hide abre signs. Everything she learned about Tavuni's disease. What helped, what did not. The first medical journal of this world. Nari looked at the horizon. Thinking about home? Asked Kangdae. Thinking about Lani, she said. Good woman. I want her to meet Kano. Kano? Yes. Kangdae was silent for a moment. Matchmaking? Just thinking, said Nari. Kano spent 3 years in the pit, alone. Lani is good. It is far. Different islands. Tavuni are now friends. Boats sail between friends. Nari, who always protects the perimeter both literally and metaphorically, now expands the perimeter. Other islands, other connections, suggest to Kano his decision. Of course his, said Nari. I will just say. Kangdae laughed. Nari. What? When you say I will just say, people usually do what you said. Nari long, is that bad? No, said Kangdae. It is effective. Nari, that version of a smile. Brief, real. On the second night, Vari sat down next to Kangdae. Nari slept. Tavuni rowers too. Quiet, stars, Kangdae. Yes, I want to ask. Ask, do you think we defeated Tavuni's disease? No. Helped. Gave tools. They will work further themselves. Do you think they will manage? Temu is smart. 3 students diligent. Vika decisive. They will manage. Vari was silent. What worries you? Asked Kangdae. Something else, she said. Kangdae. Did you think what will happen with Vekan Abre in 20 years? Unexpected question. Thought sometimes. What did you think? That Tagara will build better than me? That Nori will see further than me? That Vauri stopped? That the Abare healer in 20 years will know more than I do now? I, said Vari quietly. You, or your students? Kangdae. Yes, you understand that you gave us not knowledge, not a question. Statement. But what? Confidence that we can, said Vari. Before we looked at a problem and thought, too big. Now we look and think, what needs to be done? Kangdae was silent. This was the most accurate of everything he himself thought about his work here. Vari. Yes, you understood this yourself. You showed, but you understood. Vari looked at the stars. Probably, she agreed. The same thing? Important difference, said Kongdae. My knowledge will die, disappear. Your understanding lives in you, is passed on. Long silence. So the most important thing you did is not the canal and not the palisade and not copper. No. The most important is that we now think differently. Yes. Vori nodded slowly. Accepted. We're silent for a long time. The sea carried the boat, stars the same as above Vakanabare. Only the angle different, but the same. Vakanabare at dawn of the third day. Familiar shore, familiar rocks. And people on the shore? Many, almost the whole tribe. Waited. Knew the time. 2 Tavuni rowers left back yesterday. Before that they would have warned that they were coming. But how did they know exactly when? Kangdae looked from the boat. Tagaro in front of everyone. Stands. Holds something in his hands. A folded drawing. Nori next to his father. Quiet, looks. Kano by the water. Straight. Abeki by the village gates. From afar, visible white hair. The boat touched the shore. Nari stood up. Jumped into the water up to the knees, walked to the shore. Kano stepped to her. They stood as then when he returned from the pit. Hand on shoulder. Stood like that. Tagaro ran up to Kangdae. Kangdae. Look. Unfolded the drawing. Kangdae looked. New section of the wall. Those same twisted branches. But Tagaro added something of his own. Angle of inclination. Additional element below that strengthened the base. Better than they discussed. Did you come up with this? He asked. Myself, said Tagaro. Seriously. When you were not here, I thought for a long time. Tried. It stands. Showed it to Kano? Showed. He said to build. He said correctly. Tagaro looked at him. Was it good there? Interesting. Will you tell? In the evening. We will tell everything. Tagaro nodded. Ran away. Nori approached. Silently stood nearby. Nori. Yes, missed? No, he said. Then, a little. Nori's honesty. Always exact. Me too, said Kangdae. Nori looked at him. Something warm, quick in his face. Stepped away. Nori does not know how to show feelings for long. That is normal. Vari was already talking with the tribe. Telling about Tavuni's disease, about wormwood. Several women listened attentively. Already passing on, already teaching. Could not wait until evening. That is correct. Kangdae went to Abeke. The elder waited by the gates. Did not go to meet. Waited. Her style. Approached. Stood. Abeke looked at him. For a long time. As always reading. Returned. Did not change. Or changed correctly. Said one word. Welcome. Translated Vari from afar. Heard. Thank you, said Kangdae. In the Abare language. Abeke nodded. Turned. Went into the village. Welcome home. No more needed. Kangdae stopped. Looked at Vekanabare. Palisade, tower, houses, well in the center. Smoke from Seiko's forge, works as always. Voices, alive, real. Nari approached, stood nearby, was silent. Then, home. Home, he agreed. First time this word exact. Not the place where he ended up. Not the place where he lives. Home. Entered the gates. Vakanabare closed behind them. Ratuvai in the depths of the island pulsed. Evenly, calmly. Like a heart that knows everything is right.